Absolutely. So what was the first one on Monday? Was that EurUSD or EurCad?
EurUSD.
Got it. So you were looking, was it a D1 or an A1? I think it was this
A
D1
D,
off the
it was
50.
D1 off the 50.
Off the 50
Yep.
and the 200 right in here, right?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. And now I think this is a really great trade to start us with. So give us the context, if you don't mind, just kind of set the stage for us. What were you looking at this morning as the week started? This is Sunday coming into Monday.
Yeah, I think for me, going back even from last week, I was coming into this week really taking my high probability trades, and I was keeping that in mind and not to be distracted by what we've just been talking about, the trade idea. So when I was coming into this week, I had that on the back of my mind, and I really just wanted to come in, use my higher time frames as my confluence, and then come to my 15 minutes to see if I can get my high probability trades with that liquid 50. Because as you know, for me, trading the swap in liquid 50 has been kind of one of my things. And coming into this week, like we chatted about, I wanted to keep that, you know, the high probability trades there, and not every trade idea that I had I wanted to trade. So coming in, I saw this with Euro. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. So now I'm looking at this. So now kind of break it down for us. So we have Monday labeled into Tuesday. So you were looking at Monday as it came down to the 200 EMA. You felt pretty confident that at that point, because why? It was testing the Asia low, still making higher lows. And like you said, that TDI was in a zone where you felt like you had a bias.
Absolutely, yeah. So I just waited for, I waited for the RSI to pull through the trend line on the 15-minute and take it down to the 1 minute to look for my entry.
My thought is, like, when you say selectivity and you say how you were like remembering what we spoke about last week, I want to drive that home to everybody listening, because I think you said, and you like called yourself out last week almost, saying, look, I was being a little aggressive, taking C setups, taking some setups that I probably could avoid. Knowing that, and then coming into this week and then still being up almost 8% on 3 trades, I think that just shows how well you personally follow the rules. Because even though you had this like emotional bias of, all right, I don't want to be too aggressive, but I still want to trade, but I don't want to be too aggressive, but I still want to trade. Even though that was there, you were like, look, if there's entries, I'm playing. I got to find good entries and take entries no matter what. So tell me, when on this EurUSD trade, I assume that when you saw the first break here, you're getting a little bit more confident. Second break is probably where you took your entry.
Second break is where I took my entry, when the liquid 50 moved in. Yeah, I just took it to the low there, and the liquid 50 was holding the buy.
Right in there, and it just pulled up for you. Yeah, I see that exactly. Yeah. What was your exit on this trade? What was your reasoning for getting out? How did you close it? 1R, 2R, 3R? What were you thinking?
No, I would write up with this to a resistance. Let me think. This was a 7R trade, and I took it up
this
to
was huge for you. It went right up.
This was right up to the very top. There was a resistance zone that came in from the higher time frames for me, and I knew that had been a target. But majority of the trade, I was out at 4R, and I had a small piece in that I let run to that take profit level that I had set.
Were you using pivot points at all? I have the daily pivot point down here. So you were above the daily pivot. Were you looking to trade from pivot 1 to pivot 2? Was that kind of the idea?
Yeah, it was kind of the idea, but I'm still keeping my R multiple in mind. So I'm still using my R multiple as my exits. And then when I came up, I knew that from the higher time frame, I could get the top on the zone. So as long as I was majority out at 4R, and I had like, it wasn't even 10 yet. Stop loss was locked well up. And that was my zone. So I knew it was either going to come back down and bring me out to stop, or it would hit that zone. And as soon as it hit that zone, I was out.
It's cool because you can see the structure where it kind of sets the zone here. So when it exactly. So when it comes back to there and it's not breaking under the 50, there's no reason to get out of it. It's still telling you to be bullish.
And it was really good risk reward to that, just to that top, just to that high.
Absolutely. It's just to the high that was set here. So then to see it exceed, you almost got full ADR on this day. So now tell me, how did this bias, because you crushed this trade, were you full out of the trade at the end of the day? Like you closed at 7R?
I closed it. My stop loss, my take profit at the 7R was set. So I knew that if it just hit that, or it would come back down, I was happy, to take it out at the 7R, at the resistance zone.
So now, how does that bias carry into Tuesday? Because on Tuesday, I actually ended up finding 2 more opportunities, right?
It was
D1
2 more,
down here, and then an A1 here. But you said you switched to EurCad, right?
But I switched to EurCad the next day.
Out here.
And although I was still watching EurUSD present to me as like a trade idea, I marked it all up. I was already in EurCad, so I stuck to being in EurCad and just
pips.
But I cut myself off with EurCad because I just took it to the ADR.
Got it. So you maybe left a little skin in the table, but still
Yeah,
a great
but
rip
still, I was
back.
very I was very, very happy with it.
And
Just
again,
with
look at how you're being selective. You know what I mean? You said, I looked at EurUSD, and even though you traded EurUSD the day before, you were like, yeah, but the best setup today is not EurUSD.
to me, it
EurCad is
wasn't.
better.
Yeah, yeah,
And I think that's the best way to do it, because you're using the bias. Like, a bias to me doesn't mean necessarily trade EurCad or trade EurUSD again. It means I'm going to look for euro pairs to be moving higher.
yeah,
I have a directional bias behind a currency. So I'm going to check Euro JPY, EurCad, Euro AUD, and see where's the best trade, just like
yeah,
we did on GBP pairs today. But we'll go over that in a second. You go down the list of them, GJ was the best one, undoubtedly. So when you do that, like you said, you end up generating a lot of trade ideas, but not putting all of your money into all of those trades. And that's
yeah.
the most place to be.